The Prime Minister has arrived in Fiji, where talks have quickly turned to climate change and what more can be done. Fiji's Prime Minister, Bainimarama, has sent a message to Jacinda Ardern asking that she help demand more from neighbours, a clear dig at Australia's resistance to any real action. Our political reporter Jo Moir is in Suva and joins us live now. Jo, so what's happened in the meeting today between the Prime Ministers?
Yeah, hi Lisa. It's been quite an interesting meeting today. Obviously very dominated by those sort of climate change talks, something that they have a lot of sort of joint work in that area together. Also talking about, the strength of the relationship. Now bear in mind, obviously back in 2006 when Bainimarama took over with that military coup, that was under the Helen Clark government. Very tense, sanctions got put on and it was a very difficult relationship to a lesser extent under the John Key government. But it's a very different relationship with Jacinda Ardern and with Bainimarama. And they do clearly get on very well. That is very much helped, though, by that work that they are doing in that climate change space. Now, Bainimarama talking to the media in the joint press conference afterwards was quite sort of strong in the comments that he was making and was clearly making some quite direct digs at countries who aren't doing what New Zealand is. So he talked about that window quickly closing for the rest of the international community to actually match these world-leading efforts that Fiji and New Zealand are doing. And he referenced the fact that he's talking about his neighbours with that. So bear in mind here that Bainimarama and Scott Morrison, of course, clashed very heavily at the last Pacific Islands Forum in Tuvalu. That was where Bainimarama accused Scott Morrison of insulting behaviour, and it all sort of kicked off there and has carried on, really. Now, he talked today in the press conference about knowing that he could count on Jacinda Ardern to not only do the right thing, but to join Fiji in demanding the right thing from the rest of the world as well. So we put those comments to Jacinda Ardern in the press conference that we had with her just a short time ago. And her response to that was that she's frustrated by the idea that somehow her going and sort of wagging her finger at someone like Scott Morrison is going to change Australia's domestic policies. She says that's not an accurate reflection of the way that any of these countries do politics, and it's just not her style.
So we can, take from that she's not going to raise this message when the pair meet in Australia later in the week?
That's right. I mean, she's going to have this annual Trans-Tasman talk in Sydney with Scott Morrison on Thursday. She did say last week when she briefed the media ahead of this trip that she didn't plan to bring up climate change because she doesn't like to preach to countries about their domestic climate change policy. Now, we did ask whether that might have changed given the comments that have been made today and the conversations that have been had.